Okay, here we are, 11 of Elul, Yud Aleph Elul. Hayom Yom, on Shabbos Parshas Kiseitse, which is our Parsha this week, at the Kiddush table by day, the Tzemach Tzedek said, quote, "This world is a world of falsity. Therefore, even good is adulterated with chaff, stuff you need to get rid of, and must be purified from below upward, ani ladodi, that's us, our service, as well as eliciting from above downward. Olam haba, on the other hand, the world to come, is the world of emes, of truth. In Torah, there are discussions of matters which may appear negative, meaning the way they're taken in this world, yet the same matters, as they are studied in Gan Eden, are actually positive qualities. And he'll give an example of this at the end. Then the Rebbe began to sing and indicated with a motion of his hand that everyone should join him. His sons began singing, then all the Hasidim joined in the singing, inflamed and aroused, and the singing inflamed and aroused all their hearts. When the Tzemach Tzedek stopped singing, he said, quote, "In this world, the meaning of the passage in the Gemara Sanhedrin, which says, 'He who studies Torah, the parakim,' simple meaning of parakim is from time to time, but it means one who studies Torah, and that's the simple meaning, intermittently, parakim, distinct pieces. In Gan Eden, where it's interpreted positively, the passage is interpreted to mean that he studies the Torah, and the Torah takes him apart, breaks him open, gets rid of the, as we said, the chaff, the negativity, and leaves space and open space for the light. So the words of the Torah possess him. He's completely possessed by the spirit of Torah. We have a simple example of this even down here, the word gavura, right, which is translated as constraint, restraint. Gavura is the tzimtzum. It hides God's light. And then we have gavura, meaning as in Shimshin Hagibor, the strong one. It can also break through. It's strong, like fire. Fire can destroy, and fire can pare away the dross, right? We've had this metaphor many times. Silver or gold in the dirt, you burn it away, burning away the negative and revealing the positive. So the same word, the same concept can be taken in two totally opposite ways. Okay, I have to think about that as we apply that to today's Tanya. Being completely taken over. By what? We'll see. Lessons in Tanya, page 216. Yeah, the bottom of the page. And in Lakuti Amorim, near the top of page 236, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down over on the left. Okay, we are learning the inner meaning of a pasuk that started chapter 12, which said that the deed, the act of tzedakah, brings peace or wholeness. Shlim means to be whole. And the avoda, the haravanya, the work, breaking oneself, turning oneself over, that aspect of tzedakah, going beyond your limits, we said that it quiets everything down, and it creates a sense of betachin, a sense of faithfulness, emunah and betachin, and everything is now in a manner of not being encumbered by negativity. So that's the deed of tzedakah versus the avoda of tzedakah. And that's where he starts. And that's which is written in the scripture that we just quoted. It says the deed of tzedakah. He says, even shegam ha-tzedakah hanikra b'shem masa, meaning we'll put in the word even tzedakah, which is just a deed. Your customary deed. I give a tzedakah before the, pruta before davening, etc. The deed of tzedakah. V'lo b'shem avoida, and it's my norm. It's not, that's the deed of tzedakah. It's my norm. It's not my avoida. It's not me going beyond myself. Afal v'chein, it's very effective, just the deed of tzedakah. You do down here below that arouses a flow from above. So afal v'chein, the arousal we do down here just by giving tzedakah. And of course, let's remind ourselves, giving tzedakah isn't only with a penny or a coin or money. It's reaching out to other people and giving them what they need. That's what tzedakah is. One who has not is given to by someone who has. And there are many ways of doing that besides money. Nevertheless, this arousal of the way you do those kinds of things in relationship with others, that's the arousal from below, does have an effect of the Isarusa de La'ela. It brings an arousal from above. What is that arousal from above? That's the revelation of the Or Ein Sof, Baruch Hu, the arousal and the illumination of the blessed ones, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's blessed light, the infinite light. With a great illumination and a great flow, a strong flow. Nasa Shalom B'Miremov, right? And so we say, Masa Tzedakah Shalom. It makes peace up above. It harmonizes. It brings people together. It brings all the worlds together. And it not only does that up above, but it does that down here below. Masa Tzedakah Shalom. It brings peace, wholeness. But rather in this world, however, that peace, that aura, that ray of peace and wholeness, which is effused as a result of our tzedakah down here below, is not revealed in this world. The fact that this is an act of separation of good from evil, evil from good, is not necessarily revealed. We don't see that godliness down here below. We will see it out in case at the end of time, so to speak, when Gilui HaMashiach and Gilui of Olam Haba, then what we've been doing for these thousands of years will be clear in front of our eyes when the clouds pass, the clouds of Gullus really pass. So we don't see that necessarily where the clouds of Gullus are still in front of us, as a Bisman HaGullus, in the time of Gullus, as we've spoken about above. But we do see it. We do see and are able to cause the clouds of Gullus to disappear and to be removed in the Olam Katan. The Olam Katan is us. This is the language, a way of expressing the language which the Rebbe summed up in the Geula Prati, from the myriad and numerous, endless, small Giluyim that each and every one of us do with ourselves. This brings about the Geula, the large Geula, the Geula Klali, which is the Gullus of which is the removal of the Gullus from the entire world. But meanwhile, giving acts of tzedakah like this, there is an arousal from above. It does have an effect on us in the Olam Katan, in ourselves, who are Odom, as you said. This is each and every one of us. We are people, and this arousal from below does have an effect. B'chol eis motzoi, in all the literally found times, in other words, the times when this kind of arousal occurs, and this is particularly in tefillah, at the time of davening. As is written, "Betzedek echsa ponecha." In righteousness, this is the word tzedakah, it refers to davening. When I give myself over to you in davening, echsa ponecha, I, each and every one of us in our davening, echsa ponecha, will be able to see your face, God's pnimius. There is that experience available. And that's our Ma'aseh Tzedakah. Acharat tefillah, however, after tefillah, Yochol liyas hara, after tefillah, it could be that we're not in this modality all day, after tefillah, when we go about our business. It could be that the ra chayzer v'nir bekal, that the evil can come back and wake itself up easily, and now get mixed up again in the good, as a person walks in the darkness of the world. However, that's Masa Tzedakah. It has an effect on the Geula Prati, the specific individual redemption, which collectively will bring about the whole Geula, the Geula Shlema. But each one of us, after we daven or after we learn Hasidus in the morning, we're still subject to the clouds which are operating in the world, as we see today, and can be affected. But the second half of the pasuk, tzedakah that's done is avoidus at tzedakah, the work of tzedakah. So precious and so great is its value. Its malosa, its value, but very much. That the level of avoider that a person does to completely nullify his will and adhesion to and his desire or her desire for any evil, just burning the evil away on an individual level. That's the avoid of tzedakah. That one is mevatel, nullified. Tivoy v'retzoynei hagufni, one's physical and merely physical nature and will. In the face of the supernal will. Right? Nullify your will, and he will nullify his will, and he will give the geula and take away all the clouds. So that's his chapa sitra achra. That's called transforming the sitra achra in the negative. And then, he doesn't finish the sentence, then there will be an effusion of the glory, a revealed effusion of the godliness in all the worlds, the splendor of a Kodesh Baruch Hu in all the worlds. And that's the advantage of the light which comes from darkness specifically. When that's burned away, and each one of us doing that kind of deed of tzedakah, that kind of avoida of tzedakah, the work of tzedakah, of consciously burning our negativity away, opening ourselves up to Kedusha. So Yilazais in Rayocha and when that happens, as a result of that, the evil can't come back. Venira bekalus, and wake up very easily. Kol kach me'elov. I mean, it's still possible, but it's really in a state where it's more natural for the darkness to stay dark, and the light to be the most present. The darkness can occur and will occur if a person brings it back to himself. If a person does avoid of tzedakah, works on himself, and habituates oneself to vatal, negative, to turn away the negative, and really works on it, meaning overcomes limitations. So that produces a state which only if you do sort of slide back on it, the darkness will come back again, but your more natural state is you're living in the light. And this is what's written, Hashgate u'batach ad oilam. That's from the pasuk. That the darkness, well, here it's Heshket is quietness. So the noise, the interference becomes quiet. U'batach ad oilam, and a person lives with his betachin forever. Now he takes a turn on this word quiet, Heshket. Heshket hu meloshin sheiket al shmorov. In the Gemara, we're talking about wine. And when you take wine, the dregs fall to the bottom, and the wine stays on top. So this is Heshket Miloshin, Sheiket al Shmora, that the wine rests above the dregs which are below it. The Hainu Shashmorim Nifrodim Lagamri. The dregs are completely separated out, right? You don't want any dregs in wine. So you completely separate them out. Min hayayin, from the wine. And the dregs fall below. they fall below completely. And the wine, which is above, it's pure and clear, utterly pure and clear. And this is similar, this is a mashal for the avoida, the going beyond your limits in tzedakah, whether it's in money or out of your limits in acts of kindness. The dregs are the intermixing of little pieces of evil, which are the dregs, which fall to the bottom. These are the little pieces of evil. The little pieces of evil in a person's soul. They are rectified, purified, separated out little by little, until they settle down into their source in the darkness, in the dirt, in the below, outside of the realm of Kedusha. Meshikosev, as is written in the Pasuk in Mika, it says, "V'tashlich b'matzulas yam kol hatoisam." I will send away into the depths of the sea all of your sins. That's today's Tanya. The sum is, each one of us is shayach, as it's relevant to each and every one of us. It's in the power of each and every one of us to do this, avoidus tzedakah, to bring about a geula prati, a specific individual geula in each of ourselves, to banish the darkness and reveal the light. And that collectively brings about the geula klali, the world's geula shlema b'mashiach tzidkenu mamash. Okay. Questions, comments? No? Okay, then we will resume again in Mitzvah Shem tomorrow. Bye-bye.